Namaste. Today we will analyze a palm of a person who is of Indian origin and he's a business person, is a male, but born outside India in a different country. Now the thing is, this person is almost 42 years old. He's crossed 42. He's 42 plus, and the thing is, he is asking why there is no stability in his life in terms of business, in terms of work, in terms of profession or whatever, basically business. So why there is no stability in his life? This is the D1 chart and the D9 chart. However, let me just quickly tell you, this analysis is purely based on Astropalmistry and not astrology. However, because the chart is shown, so we have to do some astrological analysis here. See, if you show your chart to 100 astrologers, they will give 100 reasons which are completely different from each other. Okay, so the problem with astrologers is that no one will agree to the other astrologers reason, or the no astrologers can come to a common point. This is a irony and there's a problem with astrology. However, I analyze the chart based on Astropalmistry, which does include astrology, but I will emphasize on those areas of astrology which correspond to the palm. All right, so those areas which correspond to the palm, I will analyze those only. Now in this case, let me quickly tell you what I see as important, why this person has not been successful. Okay, I mean, this may vary from person to person, astrologer to astrologer, no question about that. However, I have to give my analysis, and that is purely correlating, or it is related to the palm, which is astropalmistry. Okay, now if you observe this person, this is the lagna. Okay, you know that the lagna is Taurus, which is Vrishab. The lagnesh is in lagna, which is Venus, right? Lagnesh is in lagna, and it is with Surya, that is sun, which is the fourth lord. Of course, it's an enemy of Venus, and it is placed in Taurus. Other thing, Mars is placed along with Venus. Mars Venus combination with sun is generally considered slightly difficult for males in terms of their sensuality. I will explain why I am saying this. But anyways, Mars is in the Rashi of Venus, and Mars here is the 7th lord and the 12th lord. That's important. Now Mars is important because if you look at Ketu, in this chart, the Ketu has got a aspect on Mars. Let me just remove this. The Ketu has an aspect on Mars. They are linked by trinal aspect. Now why I am relating it has got to do with astropalmistry and not just the astrology. So what I am trying to say, the 12th lord and the 7th lord are linking with Ketu here by trinal aspect. That's number one. Number two, number two is that the Venus as well links with Ketu because of trinal aspect, and Surya also links with Ketu. So Ketu has got connection to the three of them. All right, this is very important, and I will show you why it is important based on the palm. Let us go further. The Venus is the lagnesh. It is in its own Rashi here, which is Taurus. However, in the Navamsh, it is debilitated. Okay, currently he is undergoing his Venus Mahadasha is active. In Venus, as per my Ayanamsha, I use a completely different Ayanamsha. As per my Ayanamsha, it is Venus Saturn Dasha. As you know, Venus Saturn is a very tricky Dasha as per Uttara Kalamrita. So Kalidasa's analysis. So he is struggling currently. with the business. None of his business have succeeded. We'll go deep into it as well, but let us first focus on why things are like bad here in this case. So we must do deeper analysis, right? Let us look at the lagna itself. The lagna has got three planets, okay, three graha, and you can see that the Jupiter is aspecting the lagna as well, right? Now, who is Jupiter? Jupiter here is the eighth lord, and eighth lord does create trouble, right? And he is aspecting. Let us look at the Karmesh 10th lord, Saturn. Saturn is placed 8 places from its house and in Virgo. So 8 places itself means that not a very favorable position. I have seen in many charts, and I always look at the palm as well. If the 5th lord is in 10th, or if the 10th lord is in 5, that is, in both cases it moves 8 places or 6 places. In such cases, when something moves, some lord moves from by 6 or 8, it does create instability. And this 5-10 relationship I've seen in many charts and in palms. Of course, it has to link to the palm also. Not all charts with 5-10 kind of thing will have unstable career or business, okay? So this is something which I have noted in this palm. The same 10th lord, which is 8 places, okay, the same 10th lord which is 8 places also is Vakri, right? The other part is this 10th lord Saturn, which is Vakri, is also having trinal aspect of Ketu. Therefore one can see that the lagna has got Mars. Lagna is overloaded. Lagna has got some combinations which are not really good for a male when it comes to focus, and when it comes to sensuality, when it comes to character, etc. It is clearly visible. Why I am saying this combination is because it is seen in the palm also. Ketu is aspecting it. The Karmadhipati is 8 places. It is getting aspect from Ketu. Also, if you note, the 8th lord Jupiter is also placed along with the Karmesh or Karmadhipati, okay? So that is those are the few things which one has to note here. Further, if you look at it, this particular palm has also other issues. This chart and palm has further issues. We'll go into it step by step. If you look at this palm, if you remember, I was just mentioning about the Venus or the Lagnesh. Look at the Venus here, okay? Look at the Venus here. It is quite kind of enlarged and occupying a large part of the palm. That's part number 1. Look at the area. This area has got even height. The height is exactly the same, you can see, and it is straight. This is straight, okay? That is something one has to note. As I told you, the Venus is enlarged. The Mars area also is afflicted because of the uneven nature. And look at the way the headline is oriented, okay? Look at the way the headline is oriented. It is straight and then has a fork in the distance here. This you have to openly see, you have to see this thickness here, okay? The thickness here is very high thickness here. As it moves down, it becomes chained, and as it moves down, it smoothens out into a fork, right? So that is also to be observed. When you observe these things and then correlate it with the chart, it becomes much clearer. Other thing is that, as I told you, the Surya and the Ketu are also linked. So you can see that a tail formation on the sun mount is seen here, right? Again, if you remember, I told you that the Lagna is loaded with Venus, Mars, and Mars in Venus's sign certainly gives rise to some kind of sensuality, etc., etc. And Venus plus Sun in Nadi also is considered to give you certain similar, kind of characteristics, which are directly, casting which would directly cast aspersions on the character of the person. We can see that here as well. Look at the heartline. The heartline does not go further here, it bends towards the Saturn finger. In fact, it bends towards the center of the Saturn finger. And any book on palmistry, even the Kiro book on palmistry, will tell you if the Saturn bends towards, the heartline bends towards the Saturn mount, and if the Venus is enlarged. I don't have to tell you what can happen, right? It is pretty clear. So that is one other reason why this person needs to be, focused in his life, and he should not go astray here and there, right? Okay, now that is one part of this. As I told you, this is too straight. It shouldn't be that straight, it should be curved a little bit, okay, for a person to have a poise, mental poise. This person can become reckless, especially because the heart line has a like a, the fork. See the heartline fork, if it was like that, that's good. Here the fork is curved and it's like that. That again shows that the person is having Mars affliction by a node. Here the node is Ketu, so that again can create aggression, recklessness, etc., etc., combined with this part and enlarged Venus, okay, and this part which is the heartline. So altogether this also creates problems and decreases the focus. The other part which I have seen in this palm is this. See, I have marked it here. As I told you, this part this part, I think I should use a different color. Okay, I'll use this part here. Okay, this part is straight, correct? And then I want you to observe the green line which I have drawn here. See this green line which I have drawn here. Observe that green line. This is called the Budh Rekha or the Mercury Rekha. Okay, just look at Budh Rekha in Nadi Astropalmistry is also known for Vyapar Rekha, that means business, right? Have a look at the Budh Rekha. If you observe 1, 2, 3, the Rekha is broken here, 4, and let me just go to another picture. You see there are 3-4 cuts here. Okay, you can see that clearly, isn't it? I'll show you another picture which is more clear. Okay, here we go. I'm going to enlarge the picture. Look at the beautiful quality of the picture anyways. See this. As I told you, this is the Buddha Rekha. The Buddha Rekha the Buddha Rekha is here. It is cut 1, 2, and just observe this. Look at this Badha Rekha. Can you see it? The Badha Rekha is very, very thin. It is like Nadika Rekha. It is very thin. It not only crosses the Buddha Rekha here, it not only crosses the Buddha Rekha, it goes further and touches the fate line or the Saturn Rekha. Now the Saturn Rekha itself is not very good. You might think why, isn't it? So I'll give you an example. R.G. Rao sir has mentioned that any Rekha, which is especially the Saturn Rekha, has to be straight. Sorry, I drew it. Has to be straight. See here, it is, if it has a serpentish shape, serpent like shape, then it means that the person will have a problem in his profession. Have a look at the shape of the Saturn rekha, which is drawn in black near what I've this part. Okay, so it assumes the shape of a serpent, right? This is not good. Now the person before 40 years has tried many businesses. You can see the attempts have been done, 2 3 businesses at least he has tried. However, he has not succeeded. Why has he not succeeded? Because if you observe this line, this is the Badha Rekha again. It is cutting across these lines. It is not going to allow him to get any success. Okay. Again, the progress line. This is another progress line, right? This is a progress line. Though it is cut here, it means starting of some new business. It does give hopes. It does make a person work. However, it should be backed by strong Shani Rekha. When you have such a strong progress line, it should be backed by strong Shani Rekha. That's not happening, unfortunately, here. At the same time, this headline, which is the Kuja Rekha, also is not giving support to this person, unfortunately. Okay, and that is primarily because he has some vices, and that I told you, because of this Heartline touching the Saturn, enlarged Shukra, the distance between them, etc., etc. However, the powerful Jupiter mount or the Jupiter is saving him. Okay, so that these are the things one has to observe. I was coming to this part where I told you that the Buddha Rekha has cuts, correct? This is what I explained. So the Buddha Rekha here is cut. You can see the 2 cuts as I was mentioning earlier, and I'll come back to this picture again. See the cuts of Buddha Rekha here. I'm sure you observed the 2 cuts, at least you observed. These 2 cuts you observed. Going forward, there is another cut. Here there is a cut. Okay, so these 3 cuts on the Buddha Rekha certainly don't give any positive signals as far as the business is concerned. Other reason could be that in the chart, the Buddha is hemmed between 2 malefics. Though Buddha is strong, you can see the Buddha is strong. The Buddha is very strong in this chart and palm, right? But the problem is that the Buddha is very strong, and in the chart it is in its own house. This is the North Indian chart. Okay, wait, this is the North Indian chart. It's strong in its own house. In the South Indian chart, it is here. This is called Nadi chart. It is in Gemini, Mithun Rashi. Okay, so the Buddha is extremely strong here, and the other reason is the Buddha Rekha is extremely good, at least seemingly very strong. However, the cuts here are decreasing its vitality, along with the Badha Rekha here, that is touching the Shani Rekha. So in general, when you do any chart analysis or palm analysis, everything should help each other. If there are obstructions from if there are 5 graha which are supposed to be active, and if 3 are opposing it, even if the other 2 are strong, the person may not get good success. Okay, so this is to be noted in any palmistry or astrology. These are important things to be noted. If you again look at this, we will see that the Venus has a tail shape, right? I will explain what that means. The Venus has a tail shape. This is what I was trying to tell you. This line has a tail shape. The tail shape means what? That the shape of the lifeline looks like a tail. And why is that? And that's because I explained to you the effect of Ketu on Venus. I told you that the Ketu has got strong influence on this palm. The Ketu in the chart is situated or placed in Bhagyasthan. From there, it is doing its role, it's playing its role of destroying this person by afflicting the Venus, which is the Shukra, which has a tail shape. It afflicts the Mars, which is the Kuja Rekha. It is afflicting the Sun, although in a positive way you can see that the father of this person will be very very established, well known. I'll tell you the positive points about this palm later, but let me just focus on why he's not getting success, because it's it's an astropalmistry concept. We'll go into this palm in detail. So the Ketu is playing its role of destroying this person's bhagya. It is placed in ninth house. Okay, and you can see these little attempts that he made that are being nullified by this straight Badha Rekha. Straight. This Badha Rekha here is because of the Badha Rekha here is because of, I'll have to take the chart and show you. I know this analysis is very very deep, so those who are not interested in astropalmistry may not like this, but just to get you to know this, look, this Badha Rekha here is straight, right? Now the straightening of the Badha Rekha is because I have to show first here. See this part and this part. I have done extensive research on this, where I have seen that whenever the Saturn and Moon interact, this rekha is formed. The shape of the rekha gives gives different meanings. It has different meanings. Here it is a Badha rekha. In many palms, when there is Saturn Moon interaction, the rekha assumes a curved shape. In many palms, it forks like that. Okay, like this. Sorry, it forks. So there are many shapes depending on the chart. So this is something one has to note. Now we will have to go a step further into some predictions. Okay, for that I have to go into the palm here, and I'm going to do that pretty quickly. If you observe, he's right currently 42 plus, right, somewhere here. Somewhere here. Okay, so at 43 there is a dot in the shiny rekha. I know that you will say, oh, this is not 43, this is 35. Not true, because those who use astropalmistry know that the timing of the events is done using a completely different technique. Okay, so this is the 43rd year, and you can see there is a dot here and a triangle. It means that he's going to do something new. Is surely going to do something new. 42 and a half, 43. Why is that? That's because of this. That's because at 42, as per the palm, now look, there is a difference as per the palm and the chart, because I am interpreting the chart based on the palm. So at 42, the Jupiter, see, in the palm, remember, again, let me make this very very clear. In the palm, the Jupiter will touch Rahu. When it touches Rahu, it trines with Moon. As you know, as per Bhrigu Nadi, whenever Jupiter touches Rahu, and if in the trinal position there is Moon, what happens? There is a change in lifestyle. There is a change in the way a person lives or works, or all of a sudden he could change his location, or he could change his business. There will be a major change this year, or an attempt to change certain things. Okay, this is how we interpret in Bhrigu Nadi, not Bhrigu Nandi Nadi. Bhrigu Nadi uses palm lines to associate or relate the chart. Please remember, there is a difference. Don't get confused. Then coming to 45, 46. Okay, coming to 45, 46. Again, Let me remind you, this is based on Bhrigu Nadi, not Bhrigu Nandi Nadi. At 45, 46, just a moment. At 45, 46, I hope you can see this line like that. A curved line. So it is going to cover 45, 46.5. That means there will be a change again at that age. Alright, there will be a change again at that age, which will correspond to whatever he has started at the age of 42 and a half. That is now. He's going to start something now, maybe in next 2-3 months, once the Jupiter becomes direct. Right now the Jupiter is Vakri. So the moment Jupiter becomes direct, so that time he's going to start something, and that something will either end or there will be again closure or something at the age of 46.5 because of that line which I showed you. And that's again because the Jupiter, as per Bhrigu Nandi Nadi, would therefore be at this position. Therefore it will have trinal and a trinal. When they are both trinal, there is a closure, and there is a, there is usually a closure, and whatever you have been doing before will close, or the person will start something new. But the thing here is that whatever was started in 43 might start to slow down at 46 and a half, 47 for sure. Okay, then at 48 I have to increase the resolution. I'm going back and forth because it's a tough palm. At 48, look at this part, this part. At 48, the progress line abruptly ends, and at that ending point there is a solder kind of thing. You can see that there is a soldering effect. This means this is exactly at 48 and a half, something around that time. There is a major financial issue or health related matter, or someone in the family getting into trouble or something like that at 48 for sure. Okay, that I've seen in many palms this happens. So that's about 48. In the Bhrigu chart, in the Bhrigu Nadi chart, that corresponds to this area. That corresponds to this area. Okay, where the Jupiter is now on the Ketu. You know what happens when Jupiter is on the Ketu. I'm sure you guys know, and it is watching Mars and Sun. So father or money or something like that, and there is a trinal to this part which is Saturn. So obviously there is going to be trouble, but he will somehow manage to escape, however with huge losses. Okay, that's about the 48th year, and then we will then speed to 50. And I have to show you from the palm, because otherwise you will say what the hell is going on. Why are you showing it like this? So from this you can see here 50. Again, whatever is started at 48 will reach a peak at 50, and then I have to speed up. At 52 you can see I have drawn an arrow. That is where the fork starts. That means that is where some kind of stability will be seen in this person's life. Okay, some kind of stability it will start to show. That is about the stability. However, this person, the person's father is super rich. I can see that because of this formation here. This is a formation that is trying to touch the Shani Rekha. Okay, this is able to touch the Shani Rekha itself, shows that he is from a very wealthy family. This area shows that the 9th house is very active with Ketu, and that is creating trouble. The moon and Rahu rekhas are here. The moon Rahu rekhas are the upward looking rekhas, from the moon mount, and they are seen in this palm as well. So that's something which we have seen about this palm. The other part is that, after 52, slowly stability will be seen in the life. However, as you know, there are issues in this palm which I mentioned before. So I hope this analysis was interesting, and you've learned a lot of things from this chart. So with this, I think I'll stop here, and if you have any questions about this palm, you can always ask me. Remember, I've mixed astrology and palmistry, so many of the experts of astrology will start telling me, no, this is because of that, that is because of this. Please note again, you can have your analysis. I will stick to my analysis, because I have done analysis of such palms, not one or two, hundreds of them, and I know, and I have got proof that the predictions have come right. The past predictions have been perfect, and in many cases now, because I get feedback, future predictions are true. Some of them can be off. It depends purely on the quality of the picture that you provide. If you provide third grade pictures, you will not get good predictions for sure, because palmistry depends on these smaller lines which I have zoomed. You can see the lines that are very very thin. I need to see those lines because they are more powerful than the thick lines, which is not known to many people, unfortunately. Okay, so that's about this palm. Thank you very much.